Avoidants expect you to chase them, explain yourself, and always be the one holding the relationship together. But what happens when you stop following the script and start flipping it completely? In this video, we'll reveal 7 powerful reverse psychology shifts that make avoidance step back into your world without you lifting a finger to pursue them. Let's uncover the moves that turn distance into desire. 7 reverse psychology moves that make avoidance come crawling back without you pursuing them. There's a magnetic pull in doing the opposite of what feels natural, especially when dealing with someone who is emotionally avoidant. Someone who expects you to chase, who counts on your emotional investment, who assumes you'll always be waiting. If you've ever been with an avoidant, you know the exhausting pattern. You give more, they pull back. You show love, they show indifference. You reach out, they retreat further. But here is the twist. Doing more what feels right only validates their expectations. The real power lies in reverse psychology, doing exactly what they don't expect. These aren't mind games. These are strategic shifts in behavior that flip the entire dynamic on its head. 1. You celebrate their distance instead of protesting it. Most people panic when an avoidant pulls away. They send long texts asking what went wrong. They try to have deep conversations about the relationship, but avoidants expect this reaction. It confirms their belief that closeness equals pressure. When you actually celebrate their need for space, the entire script flips. You say things like, "Take all the time you need," and you mean it. You say it with genuine relief. Because here's what happens in their mind, but you just gave it freely. This creates cognitive dissonance. They wonder why you're not fighting for them. And suddenly, the space they fought so hard to create feels empty. They expected to feel relief when you stop chasing. Instead, they feel forgotten. Nothing makes an avoidant want closeness more than realizing their absence doesn't devastate you. 2. You thank them for showing you who they are. When an avoidant shows inconsistent behavior, most people try to fix it. They point out the mixed signals. They demand better treatment. But avoidants are masters at deflecting these conversations. Here's where you flip the script entirely. When they cancel plans last minute, you thank them for helping you realize you had other things to do anyway. 3. You become genuinely excited about your life without them. This isn't about posting happy photos to make them jealous. This is about actually building a life so engaging that their absence becomes irrelevant. Avoidants believe they can disappear and reappear because you'll always be there. But when you genuinely get excited about other things, everything shifts. You start that project you've been putting off. You reconnect with old friends. You don't do it to get their attention. You do it because their inconsistency freed up your schedule. And this isn't about pretending you're busy. It's about actually living. Once you stop revolving your life around their inconsistency, you rediscover your own energy. Avoidants feel this shift immediately, and it unsettles them. 4. You agree with their worst assumptions about relationships. Avoidants often have negative beliefs about relationships. They'll say things like, "All relationships end anyway," or "People always want too much." Usually, you try to convince them otherwise. But this puts you in the position of chasing their approval of love itself. Here's the flip. Start agreeing with them. When they say relationships are too much work, you say, "You're absolutely right. I've been thinking the same thing." Not with defeat, but with enlightenment. This agreement breaks their entire system. They're used to being the cynical one, while you're the hopeful romantic. But when you start echoing their doubts, they panic. Deep down, avoidants don't actually want you to give up on love. They want you to hold the hope while they hold the fear. When you agree that relationships might not be worth it, they suddenly feel the need to convince you otherwise. 5. You stop being available for unclear communication. Avoidants are masters of vague communication. They send mixed signals, breadcrumbs, texts that could mean anything. Most people try to decode these messages. But here's the reverse psychology move. You simply stop engaging with anything that isn't clear. When they send a vague, "Hey," you don't respond. When they make unclear plans, you make other ones. This forces a complete change in dynamic. Avoidants rely on ambiguity to maintain control. But when you stop playing detective, they lose their power. Now they have 2 choices. Continue being vague and get ignored, or start being clear about what they want. Your time is too valuable for maybe. When they realize their usual mysterious act isn't working, they're forced to step up or step out. You can even flip the script with humor. If they text, "Hey," you might reply days later with a simple wave emoji, showing you don't take vague effort seriously. 6. You mirror their emotional temperature without explanation. Avoidants run hot and cold. Usually, you try to maintain steady warmth, hoping your consistency will balance their inconsistency. But this actually enables their behavior. Here's what changes everything. You start matching their emotional temperature exactly. When they're cold, you're cold. When they're warm, you're warm. But you never explain why. You just naturally match their energy like it's the most normal thing in the world. For the first time, they experience what it's like to receive their own behavior. They can't blame you for being needy because you're giving them space. They're forced to see their own behavior reflected back, and that reflection makes them want your warmth, so they step up. 7. You become impossible to guilt or manipulate. Avoidants often use subtle guilt to keep you hooked. They'll mention how damaged they are from past relationships. They'll make you feel responsible for their emotional walls. Usually this works. You exhaust yourself trying to heal wounds you didn't create. But when you become immune to guilt, everything changes. When they mention their trust issues, you say, "That sounds really hard for you," and change the subject. The truth about these reverse psychology moves is that they only work when they come from a real place. You can't fake indifference while secretly checking their social media. Avoidants have a sixth sense for fake attachment. Here's what happens when these moves are authentic. The avoidant starts experiencing the absence of emotional supply. They're used to being someone's project, but now they're just optional. They start doing things they've never done before. They double text. They make actual plans in advance. They bring up feelings without being prompted. But here's the real truth. By the time these moves start working, you've genuinely moved on emotionally. You discover that peace feels better than passion with someone who can't show up consistently. They come crawling back, right, when you no longer need them to. So yes, these moves work, but they also teach you something more important. You deserve someone who doesn't require reverse psychology to show up. Let them come crawling back. But more importantly, let yourself see who you become in their absence. Someone who knows their worth isn't determined by an avoidant's inability to attach. That's the real power move. Not making them want you back, but no longer caring if they do. These reversals don't just change how avoidants react. They change how you see your own worth. The real power isn't about forcing them to come back. It's about choosing yourself enough to stop chasing. If this fresh perspective helped you, subscribe for more insights on psychology and relationships, and keep moving toward love that doesn't require endless chasing. Until next time, protect your peace and your power.